Namaskar. A very warm welcome. I am Dr. Vandana Thapar Bhalla. मैं थोड़ा सा आपको अपने बारे में बता दूं. I did my MTech in Electronics and Communication from IIT Roorkee in the year 1988. And then subsequently I did my PhD in Computer Technology from IIT Delhi. And I have over 30 years of experience in teaching the undergraduate program of BSc Electronics Honours in Delhi University. So मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है that I will be sharing all that I know with all you viewers. I will be taking a module on computer networks. Yes, computer networks, a system that is networking all of us globally with our computers. So थोड़ा सा I will like to first of all tell you कि हम क्या शेयर करते हैं. Computer network से we share data. Data communication is something that is possible with networking of our computers. See, you can view here in this diagram two people who could be in remote areas. They may not be able to see each other. They may be placed globally in very different areas and they are able to communicate. They could be having different kinds of machines. One could be on a phone, one could be on a Mac operating system, the other one could be on a Windows operating system. Heterogeneous systems, but yet they are able to communicate. Just a few things I would like to mention here. The actual communication happens in terms of signals. You can see that sine wave. It is just signifying that depending upon the medium which is connecting these two people, the signal is probably an electrical signal. So it could be language, it could be text, it could be image, it could be audio, it could be video, but eventually it will be transmitted like a signal. If it is a wire, it will be an electrical signal. If it is light, then maybe you are using an optical medium. You could be using something which is unguided, like for instance the free space. You could be using satellites. So whatever you wish to communicate, whatever is your information, whatever is your data, it will be communicated over a medium in the form of signals, but the computers are going to release it like a binary data. So you can see the sequence of zeros and ones. So this binary data is what the computer releases into the medium, and this is eventually received by the receiver. Now I have some blocks just below data communication. You can see something in blue, green, yellow. So whatever is your data is actually divided into layers. So some layers are implemented which take care of some parts of the data, and then the data is assimilated at the receiver end exactly as the way you sent it. Hi, how are you? And this has been assimilated at the receiver end, and while we were trying to send it, we kind of segregated it into layers. And this is what is data communication, and this data communication is facilitated by the computer networks. So these are the two textbooks that I will be using. A.S. Tenenbaum, Computer Networks, 5th edition. It's a PHI publication. You can even use the 3rd and the 4th editions, but 5th is more updated, so you would have more recent examples there. Then the second book is by B.A. Forozon, Data Communication and Networking, 4th edition, Tata McGraw-Hill, 2007 publication. This is a very detailed book and it really gives you a lot of real life examples. So both books are also available as e-copies. You can take the free PDFs. You can subscribe to these books. You can buy them online on Amazon. Lot of options are there, and I will be using basically just these two textbooks. I will be covering this entire module in units. The first unit will be about data communication in general, the general principles around data communication and switching. The unit 2, we will start talking about layers. As I told you, the communication is split into layers and then it is again assimilated from the various layers at the receiver end. So we will subsequently in our units after the unit 1 talk about these specific layers. In Unit 2, we will talk about the data link layer and all its functionalities. In Unit 3, we will discuss the network layer. In Unit 4, we will talk about the transport layer, and we will squeeze the application layer also into Unit 4. So this is the kind of roadmap for this module. I will be starting with Unit 1 today. And Unit 1, as I mentioned, is talking about data communication. So we'll talk about the components, the protocols and the standards, the architectures that we used for networking, the protocols that are associated in this architecture. Basically, there are two reference models which are worldwide used. There is the OSI model and the TCP/IP model. Just to give you a little bit of an introduction, the internet, which is the largest network of networks, and all of us are very familiar with the internet, is using the TCP/IP model. So we will give you an overview of both these models. We'll compare these two models. Then we'll talk about the topologies, how these networks are placed on the ground, what is the physical relationship of all the nodes which are going to form the network. We'll talk about the transmission mode, and we will also give you a brief introduction on digital signals, because eventually computers communicate using digital signals. So this is what we will be doing in Unit 1. The second part of Unit 1 will be about these encoding schemes, because data originally can be in any form. So we need to do certain encoding before we can make it usable by the computers. We will spend more time on digital to digital encoding, and then we'll also look at this digital data transmission techniques. Now, transmission media is of two types, guided and unguided. And when a signal is in the transmission medium, there can be various kinds of impairments on the signal, and that's called transmission impairment. We'll look into that. We will also define certain formulas and laws which help us get an idea about the performance of a network, and we will look at Shannon capacity and related laws. We will also review certain error detection and correction codes, which is a very important part of networks, because when data is in transmission, it does get impaired. We need to know whether our data received is correct or not. So we will be looking at some codes which help us detect and sometimes correct errors as well. So this is what we are going to be doing today and in the days to come to complete this course on computer networks. See, the past 3 centuries have been devoted to certain very important inventions. So there has been a dedicated invention in each century. 18th century, we had great mechanical systems happening, and it was the Industrial Revolution. 19th century was the era of steam engine, and 20th century, the key technology was the information technology, and it was about information gathering, processing, distribution, and all over the world we saw deployment of telephones, radios, TVs, computers, communication satellites, and the internet. All this happened starting from 20th century. And it was all about how would you get information, how would you transport information, how would you store information, how would you distribute information. And this information technology has seen a rapid growth. It just kind of grew. And when there is growth, there is obviously more demand for sophisticated systems. Information grew, so the demand for sophisticated information processing systems also grew. People demanded higher, many different ways of processing information which was faster. They wanted servers with higher capacity to store data, and all this happened, and it is still happening. And yet we say that computer industry is still young. It is still growing. Compared to many other industries like the aviation industry, computer industry is still growing. Now, initially when the computers happened, I don't know whether any one of you would really recollect or would have seen pictures that there used to be this one big computer in a room, and people who would require processing from the computer would go to that room, submit their work and wait for the results for the computer and go back home. This is how, computing started. And maybe in a university you would have one computer, in an office you would have a couple of computers. This is how the computers originated. And now if you see, you press a button and you are connected to somebody who's on the other end of the globe. And there's been a paradigm shift in the computer industry. It's grown tremendously. And now if I look at offices or universities or colleges, I see that there are at least 10 to 15 computers in each room, and they are separated yet they are connected. And this collection of autonomous computers interconnected by a single technology is what is called as computer network. And computer network facilitates data communication. There are hordes of applications of computer networks. In fact, in today's life, you cannot envisage even a moment without a computer network. If I look at some broad application areas, then business, home, social, and now very recently e-commerce. You see any small or big business, there is complete resource sharing between various people, and each of them own their own computers. A simple example of resource sharing could be a printer. You do it in your home as well, but it is more evident in businesses. There will be just one printer, and every computer in that room will be accessing the same printer. How is it possible? Because you have networked that printer, that resource, with your computers. Very recently, everybody has been using to transmit their voice as data over the internet. So voice over IP, VoIP, everybody is familiar with that. You all have been using it. So businesses are also using this to a great extent. Within a business, they talk to each other. They see each other by sending their data, their pictures, their voices as data over a computer network. As far as the application of a computer network goes within a home, all of you know it much better than I do, especially in the last 2 years where COVID has imposed a lot of restrictions on us, and we have been pursuing practically everything from our home over a computer network. Be it learning, be it reading a newspaper, be it ordering stuff for our kitchens, everything is now on our smartphones. The smartphones are part of the computer network. And in your home, you do not exist even a moment without your phone. And of course, the social sites, the social networking. It is not important that you travel millions or hundreds of kilometers, or you spend a full day out to be able to spend time with somebody for just half an hour. You can just do it virtually. The Facebook, the WhatsApp, the Twitter, the Instagram has given you a lot of options where you can interact socially, and the concept behind is computer network and data communications. So there are a lot of applications of computer network, and I think it will be interesting for all of you to understand how it works. Now, when we come to data communications, what is data? Data is something that we exchange in the form of talking. See, when I am face to face with somebody, I will just talk and the other person hears. That's communication. I am exchanging information. Now, this exchange of information or communication can be local or it can be remote. So far when we have been teaching, we have always been doing a local exchange. We get into a classroom, there are these students, there is this teacher. The teacher will speak loud enough for the students seated right at the back to be able to hear me. ऐसे ही होता रहा हम लोगों की क्लासेस में, लेकिन आज आप देखिए, you are not here, I cannot see you, you cannot see me. We are doing exchange of information over a computer network. So this is called a remote kind of exchange. And therein comes the word telecommunications. Tele means something which is very far. So communications which can happen over a distance with people who are located very far are actually using telecommunications. So telegraph, telephone, all part of telecommunication. And when we say that we are exchanging data, then we mean that it is going to be an information which is eventually going to be presented by a computer in a format which has been agreed upon by the two communicating parties. You have to mutually agree on your format. Let me give you an example here. Supposing I was talking in French and you were not able to understand French, then this is no information. It is something gibberish. You are unable to appreciate what is contained in that information. So therefore there is this agreement that I will speak only in English or in Hindi and you all understand that language. So that is called a mutually agreeable format. So even in computer networks, that is essential. Whenever you handle data or you send data or you receive data, the networking protocols and standards make sure that there is a mutually agreeable format between the two communicating devices. Now, communications is the exchange of this data between two devices, and for this exchange to happen, you have to have some form of transmission medium. Now, this transmission medium can be a guided medium or an unguided medium. A guided medium would be like just a length of wire. Two computers connected through a LAN cable, they form a network, and the transmission is provided by this transmission medium which we call as a wire cable. But it could be through satellites, it could be through an optical fiber, it could be completely wireless. So they are all acting as your transmission medium. And data is that information that you are exchanging. And what is the network? The network is the set of devices which are connected by these communication links and which is facilitating this data exchange. So computer networks and data communication. I hope this introduction is now good enough for you to understand and we can move forward. Now when we talk about these networks and we say a network is a set of devices connected by communication links, what do we mean by these devices? These devices are actually called the nodes, and these nodes can be a computer, it can be a printer, or it can be any other device. It can be a mobile phone as well. It can be any device which is capable of sending and receiving, or it could do either of these things. It could do either of these things. And these nodes can be placed anywhere on the network. These can be the end devices which is sending or receiver devices data, or these could be these nodes which are present in between the two communicating devices which we call as the network devices, like for instance your routers and your switches. Now for effective data communication, there are four important characteristics: delivery, accuracy, timeliness and jitter. These are four very important characteristics. Let's look at them one by one. Delivery. The system must deliver data to the correct destination. If you have designed this data for someone specific, only that person should receive the data and no one else. So the delivery is meant for someone specific, and that specific destination only must receive the data. And that data has to be delivered with accuracy. If the data has been corrupted, then it is useless data. And the onus is on the system to deliver this data accurately. That is the second characteristic for effective data communication. The third characteristic is timeliness. It is very, very important that the computer network system must deliver data in a timely manner. and it is specifically true for audios and videos. If I am delivering this lecture, the way I am speaking, whatever word is coming first must be delivered first. Whatever are the pauses between the two words, that has to be delivered likewise. We cannot do this that some packets arrive later and some packets arrive earlier. The system has the responsibility to deliver data in a timely manner. Timely delivery. It means that you have to deliver the data as they were produced and in the same order that they were produced, and without introducing delays between these packets. There should not be a significant delay, and generally timeliness is more important for real-time transmissions. So we will be talking about different kinds of transmissions also. Timeliness is especially important for real-time transmission environments, and there it has a big impact. The last characteristic is jitter. Now jitter refers to the variation in the packet arrival time. Now let's assume that I am speaking and this data is going in packets and it is reaching everyone. Now packets will also have some delay between themselves. So maybe I am sending packets after every 1 second. So first packet is sent, and after 1 second the second packet is sent, after the second the third packet is sent. But what happens that in the transmission medium, sometimes this delay is jeopardized. There is some uneven delay which is introduced, and when I am going to receive these packets, the delay could vary from 2 seconds to 2 minutes, or maybe some arrive faster than 1 second. So this will create some kind of unacceptable reception for the viewers. And this is what is meant by jitter in a very broad way. It is the uneven delay in the delivery of audio or video packets. Whatever was the delay which was originating at the sending machine, the same delay has to be maintained at the receiving machine also, and transmission medium should not introduce any further uneven delay when it is trying to deliver these audio and video packets. So these were the 4 characteristics that are required for your effective data communication. Now if you see this diagram, this is kind of summarizing what is happening exactly in a computer network data communication system. There is a sender. So obviously you would only communicate if you have something to send. You would talk to person if you have something to communicate. So you have a sender. You can see on one end there is this sender. So the sender is originating the data which has to be transmitted. Then there is a medium. There has to be a medium which will connect the sender and the receiver. That medium can be anything. It can be a free space, it can be a satellite, but there has to be a transmission medium. Whatever the sender wanted to send, that information is called message. You can see that blue box, that is the message. Whatever the receiver is expecting, wherever is the receiver, this message is destined for a destination. We call that destination as the receiver. As you can see, the eventual sender and the eventual receiver is invariably a human being. It's either your eyes or your ears which are going to see or receive the data. It is something that a human mind is going to originate, that's going to become a message. Now, while all this is happening, in the background, there are certain set of rules which are going on, and they are called protocols. You can see that set of rules which is written as step 1, step 2, step 3. These are the protocols which are going to make sure that all this works out well without any errors. So these are called as the 5 components of a computer network: a protocol, a sender, a medium, a message, and a receiver. These are the 5 components of a data communication system.